I've apparently given a dear FB friend, a very long-term FB friend, the impression that I hate Christians. Well, this is not so. I've grown to dislike their religion this year, but I would differentiate between the religion and its followers. Two of my oldest FB friends are, in fact, Christians. What has happened this year, and hadn't happened any other year in my life, is that I have been treated actually this isn't. I have been treated extremely badly by Christians this year. Notably my brother's wife, i.e. very close to home. And of course, it's been slowly dawning on me exactly how unchristian my mother was, though she claimed to be C of E. No Bible, no prayer book, no hymn book, no crucifix. No, it wasn't hers. The one that my father glued upside down to his window frame was definitely not my mother's. She never had one that I knew of. And I would have known, because I searched that house thoroughly. And if that sounds awful, consider the fact that when I was 12, they searched my satchel. What did they think was in it? I was the most innocent 12-year-old. I didn't equate what my father did to me with sex. I didn't know what sex was. I didn't know about drugs. I'd never kissed a boy. Actually, I've still never kissed a boy. Unless you count my dog Danny. And then not on the lips, although he does that to me. Seemed to me that what was the goose for the sauce for the goose was sauce for the gander. And I was trying to find my birth certificate. I didn't exactly turn the house upside down, but I did. There was never a drawer in that house that I hadn't been through. When I was 16. My mother did not own a crucifix, is the point. Right, Christianity. Last year, September of last year, a Christian couple, whom at the time I thought were wonderful people, not only put me up in their home in Southampton for 9 days, they came up here to pick me up and take me there. I thought they were fantastic people, and didn't charge me a red cent. Wouldn't take any money. Not for the petrol, and not for the upkeep. Well, I will only push it so hard when someone says no, they don't want my money. Not because I'm tight with money, but because I was brought up to believe that it was rude to continue to offer money to someone who said I don't want it. Someone who said I'm doing this because I want to do it. So, I didn't think I would survive another winter in this place, and the COPD did in fact get worse through the winter. Bit better the last few days, but I've had sort of a bubble and squeak on my lungs. Bubble, squeak, squelch. That wasn't there before. Really is a kind of squelching sound. It's quite frightening. And the squeaking sound and the bubbling sound and feel. So, I wanted desperately to get out to somewhere that didn't have black mould all over the bedroom wall and wasn't damp and didn't have bonfire smoke flooding through the windows or smokers smoking through my windows or anything like that. I also wanted to be somewhere stress-free where I was not going to be constantly under stress. So it all seemed, all Christians, they all Christians who arranged this. This same couple said that they would put me up between the 20th of January and I think it was the 8th of February. And at the same time, my Christian cousin said that she would help finance my move to Southampton if I could find a place. And the whole purpose of my going to the Christian couple was to find a place. They knew this. Well, this time I was paying rent and food on top. Unspecified sum, and it was a bit of a shock to me when they told me what the sum was, because I really wasn't eating that much. And this time, they changed completely towards me. I did vaguely notice during those 9 days in September that I was the only guest who didn't have a key, which was only inconvenient once. It meant I had to leave my daughter early. A lot earlier than I wanted to, and she could have stayed later that day. I was really upset. That was just once in September. This time around, I was more or less a prisoner in their house. It does not go well with post-traumatic stress, not at all. Again, I didn't have a key, although now I was a paying guest. And I couldn't get to the bus stop, which was vitally important, of course, because if I couldn't get to the bus stop, I couldn't get to go and see places. I couldn't go and view places. The only places I could go and view were the places my daughter picked me up and took me to. Not that there were that many, because private landlords are not falling over themselves to take in dying women who are living on benefits, specifically housing benefit. There was just the one private landlord in Southampton who would take in people on housing benefit. One man. And my daughter had already viewed 2 of his places, so within 5 days, my daughter taking me there, I'd found a place that was perfect for me, in as much as it had no stairs. There were no hills. The shop was virtually opposite, the bus stop was opposite, and the city centre was 2 minutes on the bus. So it was never going to cost me a fortune to get into the city centre. Here in Wales I have a free bus pass, in England I would not. All these things were vitally important to me, and close to the hospital as well. And in my home city, the city in which I lived for 45 years. The city in which, for better or worse, and it was worse, I married and I had my kids and I did my degree and I worked and I did everything that people do. My home, where I wanted to be, where I needed to be, where I wanted to die. So I found the perfect place, and I didn't anticipate any problems because my cousin had said, yes, I will help you. We had discussed sums of money, and I said yes to this landlord, thinking it was my decision. Dear God, how I miss independence. I hate dependence. I hate being helpless. I said yes, and I rang my cousin and she said no. No, take your time and find somewhere else. I said he was the only private landlord in Southampton who would have me, and he's now told me to go to hell and not to bother him again, because I said yes yesterday, and today I have to say no. So, and the rest of the time, as I say, imprisoned virtually in my host's house, because I had no key and because I couldn't get to the bus stop. It was too far to walk, and that was something they just wouldn't accept. They wouldn't accept that a person with a terminal lung disease has a limited capacity to walk. Wouldn't accept it at all. They must have been Tories. Well, I'm sure they are Tories. And I lay awake 8 consecutive nights, sleepless. I was so petrified of the new rules. I had to be showered and downstairs by 9, which I knew my lungs were not up to that. especially as this time around they'd told me to use the shower that wasn't safe for me, whereas the previous time I'd been able to use a shower that was safe for me. Absolutely petrified. Such that I only showered once every 3 days. Made a point of it if I was going to see my daughter. In terror. But the real point was that they would go out, and I wouldn't know when they were coming back or what their plans were or anything else, and I would find they'd locked all the doors. I couldn't even go out into the back garden. That was it. I was stuck indoors until they got back. God knows how many times that happened. And then there was one day they said, "Oh, you're going to stay with so-and-so over the weekend." I said, "Oh, am I?" I mean, I was a paying guest this time around, right? In their house. It was a complete and utter shock to me. And I don't know why. I just dug my heels in and I said, "No, I'm not. It's you I've paid for my upkeep. You didn't tell me this was going to happen. I'll gladly go to a hotel. An hotel. Airbnb. I'm not going to your friend." Sever the rebel right to the dying breath, eh? And the man in his wisdom told me that all coughs originate in the throat. In other words, he didn't have a clue what my disease was, and he'd never heard of a lung. And one night when they were watching TV, he asked me to turn down the volume on my cough, as if that was something I could do at will. My daughter said she'd never heard a cough like it, notwithstanding that her father-in-law also had COPD. He died of it on Good Friday, in fact. This year. Just over a month after I got back, I suppose, was it? But she described his cough as being much like an ordinary smoker's cough. Well, I've never smoked. And my cough, she said, I've never, ever heard anything like it. I never have either, and of course I delete it from videos. I don't upload videos with the cough at its worst. Turn down the volume on your cough. They will originate in the throat. You can walk to the bus stop. Of course you can walk to the bus stop. You walked round Romsey with me. Indeed I did. She's 10 years older than me, and I walked round Romsey at half her pace, sitting down on every available bench. Romsey is completely on the flat. No hills that I can think of, and I certainly didn't walk up any. I've known Romsey all my life. I wouldn't have minded moving to Romsey, I know it. Or Salisbury. No hills, all on the flat. Plenty of benches. Places to sit. I didn't even know the route to their bus stop. Not on foot. Oh, you can do it. My doctor actually said to me it would have been better to me if I'd had cancer, better for me if I'd had cancer. And it would. The vast majority of cancers are potentially treatable, and I know people who've recovered from cancer. I knew one woman who made a full recovery from lung cancer. And she was a smoker, and she went back to smoking. This disease has no cure. Why is it that people do not understand the word terminal anymore? Anyway, I experienced my time this year with those people as an ordeal. And the only saving grace was that I got to see my daughter. But oh dear God, I was depressed. Very depressed. With 4 days to go, another place came up. It was a case of now or never, take it or leave it. This or nothing. I would have never chosen it, ever. It was not and is not suitable for a person with COPD. Very steep flight of stairs. No washing machine in the place, and a hell of a long hike to the laundry room. Hell of a long hike. I couldn't do it, with or without weight. Well, certainly not with weight. Couldn't do it, simple. So I'd never have any clean clothes. But there wasn't time to think. Because all private landlords want an answer yesterday. There's always a queue of other people, of course. I said yes. And I wish I had not. I don't want to go there. I don't know the place. I don't like the place. It's nowhere near Southampton. It's not my home. It never was my home. And I don't want to go to a strange place to die. I want to go to a familiar place to die. I doubt my daughter would make the 40-mile round trip to see me very often. I don't think she's got the time. There's no direct bus, and the train fare is £10 a time, one way. And now, she has changed her mind about my taking the dog. Well, of course, if I ever upload the video I've just made before this one, people might wonder about the wisdom of my taking him anyway. But the fact is that I know no one in this place, and won't get the chance to know anyone in the place, because where would I go to socialise in my current physical condition? Nowhere is the answer. I find it an ordeal to go to the fucking shops and stock up on food, with the result that I quite often go hungry. Not that you would know it to look at me. I would rather go hungry than go to the shops. It's like that. Anyway, between those people. Oh, and the fact that they tried to get me, what is the damn word? Exorcised on the last night. But I saw the man coming, and I put the hood up on my... Oh, no, it didn't end there. On the day that I was due to leave, there were severe weather warnings at the train station. They did take me to the train station. They had flu, by the way, when they met me off the train when I arrived, both of them, and neither of them thought that perhaps it might be a good idea to warn me about that, because after all, flu could kill me. Anyone with a lung disease could be killed by a cold, never mind flu. I would never, ever visit Ellen, who had bronchiectasis, when I had a cold. Went wrong right from the word go. They were even angry with me, because they had gone to the wrong platform, not me. You know, I didn't tell the train where to pull in, and it pulled in where it always does pull in, from Wales. They went to the wrong platform, and they were angry about that, and they thought I should have heard them shouting. But I couldn't hear them shouting, because I was coughing my lungs up at the time. So they met me with flu. Coughed and spluttered all over me as much as they could. No hands over their mouths, particularly him, particularly the bastard bloke. No hand over his mouth. No attempt to turn away from me, even. I honest to God thought he was trying to kill me. PTSD or what? And then on that last day, I said, there are severe weather warnings, look. Oh, he said, that will only be along the coast of England. You'll be fine in Wales. I thought he doesn't know the route, does he? Quite a bit of the route is along the west coast of Wales. Well, southwest. And then I was, thank God there was a signal, able to tune into Wales Online on my phone on the train. And I was promptly informed that no trains were running beyond Cardiff, and the centre of Bridgend had been shut, closed down, and that there were so many trees down in Carmarthenshire that the roads were blocked. In other words, I would not have got beyond Cardiff. Sometime that evening, I would have arrived in Cardiff, would not have been able to get any further. That's 2 hours from Carmarthen and 3 hours from Lampeter. I would have arrived in Cardiff with absolutely nowhere to stay. Nowhere to go. I'd have been sleeping out with my COPD. So thank you very much, Wales Online. Thank Christ I still had a signal. I got out in Salisbury. I was extremely lucky to find a guest house there, because now you need a credit card or a debit card to book into a guest house, and I don't have either of those things. I work with cash. So it's not so much that I hate Christians, it's that I hate some Christians, and I don't believe in their religion, and I don't believe they can live up to their religion to save their lives, for the most part, or to save anyone else's either.